Hello, everyone. This is Tim with Northern Woods Wellness, just connecting with you for our fourth week of Find Your True North podcast. I'm really excited to be able to spend this next 10, 15 minutes with you because that's something that's really close to my heart. And I just got done with it, which is why you're seeing me in my workout gear, is physical fitness. So physical fitness to me is something that is critical for good quality lifestyle, not just for mental well-being, although we're going to go into that pretty significantly today. It's for everything. And you're going to probably see a little bit as we dive into it a little bit further, just in some of the research. So I've gathered a lot of good information that I think is really going to hopefully be inspiring and empowering as you look at the biological aspects of what does fitness, both cardio, weightlifting, any sort of fitness, what does that do for your mental health, specifically depression? So I found an article that was able to research depression and its biological connection to fitness. So we're gonna really dive into that today too. But yeah, absolutely. I just got done training with my trainer, Brett DeRozier. He's an awesome dude. He owns Fit Home LLC. Please hit him up. He is a fantastic trainer, and I'll tell you what, he's been able to kind of help me put on some muscle mass a lot lately and healthy weight gain. So that's been really wonderful, and he's just getting started changing the world right now as well too. So thanks, Brett, if you're watching. I'll see you next Monday at 10 o'clock for our weekly trainings. So let's jump right on in, everybody. We're going to talk about what we can do for mental health through fitness. And I know now that a lot of people may not have a ton of time to do fitness, but there is always time for fitness. I really want to stress that. I think fitness always has a place in our life. And if we don't, it really backfires, not just mentally, but also physically. And I speak of that, especially being sober now, but also having lost 60 pounds in the last 4 years. That weight loss and then now the weight training has just transformed my personal life. And I think Brett, my trainer, can speak to his life transformation, which is why Brett and I may team up someday to kind of work with you all. But I'm really excited to kind of share my experience with Brett with you today. So I'll give you a little bit of background about my experience with weight loss. So when I was drinking alcohol, I put on a lot of weight. I've lost a significant amount of weight twice in my life. One was in grad school when I really dedicated to running and cardio. I think it went from about 190 down to about 170. And I was about 25, 26, 27, somewhere around there. And then I graduated, life got stressful, got married, and I ended up getting up to about 238. Now, I was still kind of healthy and still able to be active, but I was not at a weight I wanted to be, nor was I at a physical fitness level where I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't really enjoy myself. I felt tired all the time. And I think it was from the alcohol, fast food, and the poor diet and exercise. But come COVID, I ended up dropping from 238 down to 180. And that was a very challenging experience, but I did a lot through running again, and it was very, very transformative. And then currently, I'm trying to gain some more weight with muscle mass. So I can kind of speak personally to a lot of different types of training as well too, and what's worked for me. I'll tell you what, cardio is awesome. I just ran the half marathon in Eau Claire here. It's an awesome way to do it, but I've come to find through many doctors and nutritionists that weight training is where it's at. You need to do weight training. So if you're looking for any type of fitness, try weight training. Try it out. It's easier. You can do push-ups. You don't even really need anything other than your body weight and a water bottle. You can do that anytime. So the chances for excuses with that are really low. I do think a combo of cardio and weight training is going to be your best bet, but start off with weight training. I think that's going to be really wonderful, and they'll probably move into more cross training and cardio. And once again, I could always hook you up with Brett. He is our Northern Woods Wellness trainer, is what I'm going to call you right now, Brett. So, yeah, feel free to give us a call if you have any questions, or if you want us to get you connected with Brett. Number is 715-598-1568, or you can email us at info@northernwoodswellnessllc.com. But without further ado, let's jump on into the biology behind weight gain, weight loss, and then how it's connected to depression. And I'll kind of speak to you about where I was at with my own depression as I'm going throughout the clinical research that we're doing. So a lot of the clinical research that we're going to be focusing on is coming from one article. But I found this article, and it's really recent, within the last 3 years. So it's definitely within that window of appropriate, good research. That's something I've been really focusing on myself is make sure you're reading articles that are appropriate and they're recent. You don't want to go off of research that's even 5 years older. It's kind of a general rule of thumb. Anything that's older than 5 years, it's probably outdated, at least with an academic field and everything too. So the article I have is going to really hopefully help you kind of shine light on what is occurring with mental health. So let me go ahead, pull that up. You're going to see it on your screen really quick here. Okay, so this is from an article by Ren and Zhao 2023, and the article's name is at the bottom here in our reference section, Exercise for Mental Well-Being, Exploring Neurobiological Advances and Intervention Effects in Depression. So from Life Journal, and in the 13th, believe it's in the 13th edition or something. I can't quite remember, but that doesn't matter. So we're going to go all the way to the top here on the list as you look. And so I gathered all the notes. So these are your cliff notes from this article. And what this review did was they took more of a narrative approach. They really started looking at the literature on the relationship between exercise and depression, and it allowed for a more comprehensive analysis of different studies. So it's kind of like a literature review. They went through and they just looked at different topics that were related to mental health and exercise, specifically depression. And what they ended up finding was that they focus more on the molecular mechanisms. And this is why I'm a bit of a nerd. Thought this was awesome. The molecular mechanisms are amazing. What happens when you do exercise in general? Everything changes. So they go over a couple topics such as natural antidepressants, such as tryptophan metabolism. You've heard of tryptophan in turkey. It makes you tired. So how do we boost our tryptophan metabolism in life in general? Any possible inflammation within our brain and our body, our neurons, our nerves, that can play a massive molecular factor into depression, and also brain-derived neurotrophic factors, BDNF or BDNFs. So those are really significant components that get changed when you are doing exercise, any type of exercise. We'll go into what is a good exercise intervention to use, but any exercise really changes those. So let's go into some definitions here. So BDNF is your brain-derived neurotrophic factors. So these are proteins that are really significant in your overall health and function of your neurons. So our neurons have a fatty layer around them that allows our neurons to connect through different synapses. And BDNF supports that survival of current neurons, and they encourage that growth of the new neurons. That growth is so important in our neuronal connections. Our neuronal connections and synapses can be malleable. We can change those. Now, it's hard, but there's plenty of proof and research out there that over time and with practice, with therapy, routine, your neurons will legitimately change direction. And exercise has been shown to really help with those BDNFs, kind of helping you with encouraging neuronal growth. It also can help with encouraging dopamine advancements or even dopamine regulation because you are building new neurons, and everything just is all connected. And also basically in this here, what they come to find is that any type of intervention is going to work. Aerobic exercise, yoga, resistance, or weight training, they all work really well to manage depression. The thing that came out to be the most important was actually frequency and intensity. And we're going to kind of dive into that a little bit further on, but the frequency and intensity of your exercise is actually a really big factor for you to consider. The reason I bring that up is because if you do maybe 1 or 2 times a week for 15 minutes, you probably aren't going to get a ton of mental health benefits or maybe even physical benefits. I think the magic number is about 3 to 5 for about a half hour, and with medium to high intensity. That is where you're going to get majority of your mental health benefits. But then when we look further into those BDNFs, though, we really notice that there's one particular area that is really, really cool and really important. It's in this area of PGC1, I believe it's alpha, I'm not 100% sure. But that is going to be an area that is going to help you regulate your mood and your depression, and that is going to be activated throughout your BDNFs, throughout your exercises. So in general, exercise is going to boost those BDNFs, those brain-derived neurotrophic factors, which help build neurons. And then the PGC1, I believe alpha, is going to help you in your skeletal system and your muscles, and it's going to help you regulate your emotions. So that's pretty cool. If you're a nerd like me, PGC1s, BDNFs, we can change all those, and you're going to see direct correlations to depression. Another cool factor is we have very helpful benefits of reducing inflammatory cytokines. And cytokines are those things that are in there that are going to really um, cause inflammatory in your body and everywhere, and in your brain even as well too. So if we actually go down further, we talk about PGC1s as well as cytokines. So PGC1 is I don't know, you can read that right there. It's a receptor gamma, and it's a protein that acts as a co-activator for various nuclear receptors. It plays a significant role in regulating genes involved in energy, metabolism, mitochondrial biogenesis, and muscle function. So that's why I thought it was so neat that PGC1s were able to really help us with the activation of our body. And the cool thing is that when we're depressed, we don't want to move, but being active actually increases PGC1s, and that's going to make us want to move. It's all on a biological level. This is true control, people. This is a true control in your life. You can choose to go to the gym. You can choose what you do. You can choose how often, how intense, and you get to impact your entire biochemistry with working out. I think that's really, really amazing. And then these cytokines, which are those inflammatory aspects in our body, what ends up happening is we end up having TNFAs or also IL-6s, so it's interleukin and tumor necrosis, and those are really elevated in depressed individuals. Working out and reducing inflammation is actually linked to reducing that um, the interleukin, the IL-6, or the tumor necrosis, the TNF alpha. So that's really, really cool to see. And if you want more information or details about what those are, they're going to be right here for you on your screen as well too. And then we're going to go into neuroprotective factors. So neuroprotective factors are factors that promote secretion of neuroprotective transmitters and just general brain health for you. So neuroprotective factors increase levels of neurogenesis to kind of help us continue to grow and our brains to be more malleable and pliable, and they improve mood. And that goes back to some of the things we talked about with the BDNFs, the PGC1, and there's also another one called FNDC5. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you, but FNDC5 is a protein that is primarily produced in skeletal muscle, but it plays a role in various biological processes, particularly in context of metabolism and exercise. And then that FNDC5 is considered a BDNF, and it shows that FNDC5 or irisin can enhance expression of your BDNF, to the expression of how it's seen and how it's shown of your BDNFs, your brain-derived neurotrophic factors. So it's pretty awesome that exercise is doing a ton for you. And the cool thing about it is, just like lifting weights, you do your session in the gym or with your trainer, but then your metabolism, your BDNFs, everything is still running well after the end of that session that you had with your trainer. So it's really neat to kind of be able to see that pan out in your life. Now we're going to wrap things up a little bit here. We're going to go back around. So in general, what we've been talking about so far, what I really want to have you focus on is the factor that exercise promotes those brain-derived neurotrophic factors, which can be really protective. It also grows a PGC1, which is very influential in regulating mood and depression. It also reduces inflammatory factors through the pro-inflammatory cytokines, reduces those levels. And then it also helps us to reduce the IL-6 and the tumor necrosis, which account for those inflammatory cytokines as well too. And I know these are big numbers and everything as well. This article is very elaborate, but I'm just giving you the cliff notes so you know. So I encourage you to go into ChatGPT, Google, and just Google some of these this data, make sure I'm correct, but also just to kind of get yourself motivated. And I'm fairly sure this is pretty accurate. I went through a fairly extensive process of using AI to find the right articles here. But then the frequency is really important. 3 to 5 times per week at a medium to high intensity is particularly effective for alleviating depression. Those frequency and intensity are crucial for maximizing the benefits of exercise on mental health. So when you do set up a treatment plan or an exercise plan with a trainer or for yourself, try to hit 3 to 5 times, maybe 30 to 45 minutes, medium to high intensity. And then consistency is going to be your main focus in that regard. And also diversity in exercise modalities. Diversity, variability, keeping your body guessing is a real thing. You might hear that in movies. Oh, I keep my body guessing. And they're going through and they're doing different types of workouts. That is actually real. Doing varied modalities and different exercises is astounding for everything we talked about with the BDNFs and reducing inflammation and reducing and engaging your natural antidepressant effects in your body. So you can do aerobic exercise, yoga, resistance training, weight training. All those are going to really improve and maximize your benefits for mental health. And in general, everything I'm sharing with you is just the start, the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to this that we want to continue to promote in our mental health field, but we can't do that if we lose the importance of exercise. So one thing that fears me over the last several years is that as we get older as a species, but also as we normalize a lot more uniqueness and individuality, we don't want to just give up on exercise. Exercise, do it for mental health. Don't do it for looks. Don't do it unless you really want to, but do it for lifestyle. Do it for your health and do it for your mental health. Don't negate the impacts on your mental wellness that exercise can do. So overall, that's where we're at right now with our podcast today. And I want you to think about that too. So every podcast, I want to leave you guys with something to think about. And so I'm going to give you some time right now while you're here with me on this Tuesday. Sit and think about your exercise routine. And be honest with yourself. You hear me say that every week. Are we doing enough? I bet you're not. I would say that just because us humans get busy. But then when we get busy, we have stress hormones like cortisol, that tryptophan too. They all reduce our metabolism, which leads to weight gain, fatigue, lethargy. And when you are depressed, the last thing you want to do is you really want to move. But based off of the research, that movement is going to biologically pull you out of the depression. It might not happen overnight, but there's so much research that says that is going to happen. So you don't have to go and dig in the research. You can kind of use this and then tell yourself, if you are making excuses, that no, this is a tangible way that I can address any concerns that are occurring in my life with depression. It's pretty awesome. That true control I talked about. Exercise gives you true control over your body, your emotions, your relationships, because you get to choose it all. And it's a tremendous coping strategy, tremendous processing strategy. So I highly encourage you, try to get out there this summer. Find a workout routine and stick to it. And then look for a trainer. That the trainers, even though if you can afford it, that's awesome, but they hold you accountable. That accountability is crucial for any sort of mental wellness treatment, physical treatment, activity. It's really awesome. So we're going to end there today. Went a little bit longer. Apologize. But thanks for tuning in to Find Your True North podcast. Thanks, Brett, for me making you my little scapegoat as I'm promoting fitness and mental health. But I want you all to know that we are doing some pretty cool things over here at Northern Woods Wellness. Very exciting updates are coming soon in the near future. I'll let you know when those become more legitimate, more signed in stone, and we'll go from there. If you have any questions, though, don't hesitate to reach out to me or Kaylee, who is now current director. So we're going to welcome Kaylee Foster, my wife and business partner and co-owner. We're both 50-50 co-owners. She is now the full-time director, and she's killing it, guys. She is killing it. So welcome her to the team. She's going to be your go-to contact. But if you want to contact us, the number is 715-598-1568, or email us at info@northernwoodswellnessllc.com, and we'll talk to you soon. Keep fighting the good fight. Go on with your bad selves, and we'll talk to you next week. Take care.